to Reality Tea Times 2, the podcast where we discuss all the trash reality TV we love to hate. I'm Tanika, and today we are going to be discussing the most recent episode of 90 Day Happily Ever After. But before we go into this current episode, I realized I didn't talk about Patrick and Thais in the last episode. There wasn't a lot there to talk about, honestly. I have like a quarter of a page to talk about, but basically, she kind of says to him, you fucked up. You could have told my dad that you asked my dad for the blessing. You didn't, that you're fucking it up. And he's like, well, I don't think I should be asking for a blessing. I'm already fucking married to you anyways. I'm trying to get his respect. I don't talk to him on a daily basis. So like, I can't just go in and ask for the blessing that's like that. Like, it doesn't seem genuine. And she's pissed, all that. And then to add insult to injury, he's gonna ditch her to go pick up John because John is now here. Yes. That's basically it. There wasn't much else to talk about with them in that, but I did realize I completely forgot to talk about Patrick and Thais. But that's that. Now, before we head into this episode, I want to remind everybody we are not talking Ed and Angela in this episode. Of course, we have not been talking about Ed up to this point, but this is the first episode with Angela. I am not talking about her. It's not happening. But we will be talking about everybody else. So we have a lot of Rob and Sophie in this episode. Fuck. But let's hop into the reason that we are here. HEA Season 8, Episode 10, The Couple's Grimm. So Loren and Alexi first. So we are going for a walk. Then we're going to put this grandma to bed because she needs to go to bed. And Loren looks at him like, the fuck? But now it's the next day and we're going to go back to the doctors to make sure everything is great. She barely slept. She's in pain. I totally get it. And she also says like sleeping upwards it's not conducive if you're not used to sleeping upwards of sleep. It sucks. It sucks. I had to do the same thing. You have to literally sleep upwards, and it's horrible. I couldn't wait to be able to sleep lying down. And then even I'm a stomach sleeper, so even like for the first like month or so, I couldn't even sleep on my stomach, and it sucked. But yeah, it's not great. So yeah, she's like, I'm in pain, but I love this. She loves this. She said, I love this moo-moo. That's what she said. She's like, I love this moo-moo. I want more moo-moos. But she says that Alexi has been amazing. Season she lucked out on the husband department, honestly. So, yeah, the head wrap that she has on, she will have to leave that on for at least a couple of weeks. So, yeah, but yeah, she can't, she doesn't, I guess, have this double chin that they claim that she had. So it's gone. And, maybe she really is, snatched with, with this being, the sign of the whatever. So, you say, do you want to see the drainage? So Alexia actually collected the drainage from her. That's good for him. It looks really fucking gross, but good for him. And the doctor's like, oh yeah, that is exactly what we want to see. So we were good there. And he does say, Alexi, that I was thinking about having her mom switch with me so that I could go be with the kids because, we kind of go to make sure the kids are seeing somebody. But now with all the work that I think is put into Loren's recovery, like I don't know if I should be putting that on her mom. And doctor agrees and says, no, I think you should be staying with her instead of her mom coming in and doing it. I think it's better if you stay with her. But Loren isn't quite about it. She's like, I think you should be with the kids. Like, she thinks that he should be with them because, they don't have their mom. So maybe, they know their mom has a boo-boo, that it would maybe good for him to go be with the kids. And she tells them as much as they're, once they're in the car. And he, of course, flat out disagrees. And he says, you need me more than the kids need me right now. And he's like, I don't think you get how much work you are right now. And can you imagine her mom coming in there and helping Loren through this? She's going to be a fucking nightmare. She's going to be a fucking nightmare. That's a bad fucking idea. Anyways, in the next scene, though, we do see Alexi with the kids. Apparently, Loren's mom had to go make a couple of stops, a couple of errands or whatever. So, he had to come back and be with the kids because it's too much for his dad, Alexi, to be with the 3 kids on his own. But then I'm like, okay, so then no one's with Loren. But I don't think her dad is physically able either. If I remember correctly, he's been not physically able to do a lot. So there's no one with her right now. But what can you do, I guess, right? Alexi's one person. So, he was making breakfast and then we kind of see him cleaning in the kitchen and the kids are like throwing stuff at him as he's doing it. He's like, what the hell? And then we see him doing laundry or trying because he doesn't know how to work the machine. He says that he hasn't done laundry since they got this new machine. So he does not know how to use it. So he actually has to video call her and says, help. And she's like, well, did you put detergent in it? And he's like, no. She's like, that's why. So he has to put detergent in it and all that. So it's working now. And he said, okay, I'll be there soon. And then as he's going back outside, do we not see Shy just go head first down off the chair? And oh, poor thing. But he's fine. As my grandma would always say, better before you're married. And yeah, so it's fine. And the kids end up calling Loren and see the doctor. And that's basically it. There's not much else with them, obviously. Like, their storyline is, pretty, yeah. But that's it for them. Let's move on to Nicole and Mahmood. So it's been a few days since the fight. And apparently he's actually gone to the mosque. So he's making connections there. That's great. And she thought, I thought everything was going well. But I guess I was wrong. Because apparently, the night before, he started accusing her of cheating on him. And, being drunk. And all of this. So we get a little more information from Mahmood. They ask him what happened. And he says, well, I got a text from her saying that I was going out before coming home. Then he asked for her phone when she came home and she freaked out about it. Why asking for her phone? Why are anybody going through each other's phones? If you can't trust each other, then maybe don't be with each other. But yeah, she freaked out. And yeah, so he's like, the fact that she's kind of freaking out is kind of an indication to me that she was probably cheating on me. And she says, listen, I'm not hiding anything. I didn't hide that I was drinking last night. I wasn't drunk. I wasn't even tipsy. Doubt that. But the fact that I didn't open my phone, I'm a cheater. It's like, I'm not cheating. I don't want to cheat. I don't have time to cheat. None of those things. But we go back to him and he says, I don't think she cares about my feeling. I don't think either of you care about each other's feelings, honestly. And she says that he told me I don't have feelings for you anymore. And she's like, listen, I'm immune to him telling me that he wants a divorce because he tells me that all the time. What the fuck? That's just so toxic. But the fact that he's telling me that he doesn't have feelings for me, that's different. That hits different. And she gets emotional and says, like, he has a big heart. you know, and she loves it. Like, you think like she is very emotional in this moment, and I just want her to apply those emotions to when she's talking to him. Instead, she doesn't talk to him with emotion. She's like, "Fuck you." Anyway, he does come back in to the apartment, and they're gonna have a little discussion about what happened. But she says, like, I will not stay in a loveless marriage. So they talk, or she says to him, talk to me. And he says, I can't take this anymore. It's like what? And he says, like, you lied, but where you were going, apparently, according to her, she didn't. And she's like, I didn't lie about where I was. I was at work. And then I went to see Olga because apparently her and Julian are fighting. And she's like, I told you this. And he's like, no, you lied. And you came home drunk. I 100% think she came home drunk. And she's like, who cares? He says, I care. Of course, he's a Muslim, very conservative in his faith. And you came home drunk when you're not even supposed to be drinking. You too are supposed to be Muslim. And I mean, I'm not saying that because you're Muslim, you can't drink. That is your prerogative. You go accordingly. But you, you, you are not supposed to be drinking either. So it's this whole who cares. It's like, you're talking to a man who is so Muslim, if that's even possible to say. He is so Muslim that he fucking cares. He follows the Quran to a T, my girl. So of course he cares. And he's like, you know what I can't deal, or she says, sorry, you know what I can't deal with? It's just you. Like, you work for the CIA or something. What the fuck? You think Miss Mood, I listen to reality guys here. You think him is working for the CIA? First of all, where did that even come from? If he's working for the CIA, I want a refund on life. But she's like, I told you. And he's like, I need to see your phone, and you freaked out. And you don't need to see her phone. You don't need to see her phone. You just don't. And he's like, I know you. I know if you're freaking out, it's because you're probably hiding something. Okay. I think he's done the same thing. And yeah. And she says, it's not about that. I think it's just because I'm American, and you just have a problem with me being American and doing the American things and whatnot. And I'm just like, you have a problem that he's Egyptian. He has a problem that you're American. You're both fucked. Like, you're both fucked. But she says, like, this is just your way of showing you got the power here. And he's like, I got the power. Okay. And he says, well, we'll just get a divorce. And sorry if you guys can hear anything in the background. There's some sort of renovation going on next door or across the street. Anyways. But yeah, she's like, you know, nothing, something about nothing has changed, I guess, in the 4 years they've been together and all of this. And she says, you can't hurt me by saying you want a divorce, because you always say you want a divorce, so you can't hurt me with that. And, you know, you telling me you don't have feelings, though, like, that hurts. And he's like, yeah, that's right. I don't have feelings for you. And he's like, well, then why are you here? And he's like, okay, well, I'll stay a few days and I'll figure out what I'm going to do. She's like, no. You're not staying here. Get the fuck out. You're not staying here. So you're going to kick him out again. And what, in 2 days, you're going to be like, you know, I really should go get him because the streets of LA are really tough. She's so fucking backwards, man. And, so yeah, he leaves the apartment again, and she's heartbroken, but this is it. Then we see him walking down the street again, and he just wants to get back to Egypt again. And this time he does have a friend that he met at the mosque, so I guess he's going to be staying with the friend while he, I guess, figures out his next move. But that's basically it for them. Let's just quickly go through Gino and Jasmine, and then we'll be taking a break here. So she brings them a coffee, and they're going to be leaving Miami now. So she's like, how are you feeling? Are you feeling better? And he's like, no, I don't feel better. And he's like, you're making these life decisions without including me. And she says, you're right. I have done that. And she says, I know we agreed to have a kid, but look at me, Gino. She's like, the stress is affecting me. And if I were to get pregnant, the baby feels all of that too. Very true. And she says, more importantly, I don't feel right about having, a kid with you now, and my kids that I currently have aren't here yet. And I get that too. And she wants her kids here first, or at least to know that they're coming soon, And he says, why didn't you just tell me this? And she says, I'm not saying that I don't want to have kids with you. I do. I'm just asking if we can put it on hold. And Gino's like, he seems like he's upset by hearing her ask to put it on hold. But she's just like, I just want to pause. And he's like, I think that's fair. And she apologizes to him for not telling him sooner, and he accepts her apology. And he hopes that she can change her mind, though, once she feels better. And she says, I want to get better. And, I want to enter into the pageant. And he does say, I think it will be a great idea for you to do it. I'm going to support you. And I know it will be good for you. And she says, or then she thanks him, I think, and says that, you're my gringo bonito. You're my stinky gringo bonito. He's like, yeah, I'm sweaty. But that's basically it for Jasmine and Gino. And this is exactly the thing. Like, I actually remember talking to, if everyone remembers, Letitia. She was on the Family Chantel episodes. And we actually were talking about this. And as that's something I'm like, because she was like, I'm annoyed by Jasmine and all this. I'm like, no, think bigger. Her kids aren't here. And they could have been here in a matter of 6 months, which would have changed things. But Gino fucked up. Can you imagine being in her shoes when you have kids in another country? You can't even go see them. They can't come here. And she's going to have a kid with this guy, and her kids could potentially feel abandoned by that. I think she's doing the right thing. And that's exactly what she said. And I was 100% behind her in the decision. And I think she's making the right decision for her, for their future, and for her kids. I know it might be a tough thing, and obviously she's not getting any younger and whatever, but she is still only 37. Hopefully, if they can at least know the kids are coming fairly soon, that maybe they can start in like a year or so, or maybe in a couple of years even, and it'll probably be fine. Or if not, then, there's other alternatives. They'll figure it out. But, that's basically it for Gino and Jasmine. There's wasn't a whole lot with them. We're going to take a break here. And I know we're quickly taking a break already. But when we come back, we will, finish up the episode. And I'm back. So let's talk Rob and Sophie. And this is quite a bit, actually. Yay for us. But so we're going to a sex shop again. And, he's like, here's the wall of nakedness. So I think she says, "Oh, I found something I want you to wear," and or he says, "I think I found something I want to wear," and he puts on like that one of those like see-through like robe things. Um, they're just having a little fun. But she's like, "Ew, Rob, you give me the ick." Actually, that's really interesting. This is funny because that's what we're going to see in a minute is her go pissy when he doesn't say, and I'm not saying he should have reacted the way he did, but we see the way she gets pissy when he doesn't compliment her, but he's having like fun, clearly, like he's not clearly gonna wear it, but he's having fun with her. And she's like, "You give me the ick." That's not something you say to your husband, your boyfriend, your whatever, your partner. You don't say, "You give me the ick." You just don't say that. Like, but it's okay when she does it, but not when he just has a moment. There's no grace for him. I find her very fucking selfish. And usually I would rather hate on him because it's easier. But she's a very selfish person and absolutely incapable of seeing her faults in things. She thinks she has no faults. She's a spoiled brat. Anyway, so he finds like schoolgirl outfits, which problematic right there. We don't need to get into it, but it is problematic. But yeah, he finds like a kilt and like this cute little top. That's pretty simple. It's something like literally I think she would wear. She would wear a top like that anywhere. And she's gonna find something too. Since she has to do it, he has to do it. And she first is like, "Okay, how about wearing this?" And it's like a jock strap. And he's like, "I'm not wearing a jock strap. I'm not wearing one." And then she finds, I guess, like a halter. Basically, if it's not just gay men that would wear stuff like that, all men, I think, would wear something like that, depending on the situation. But this is not a section for Rob. You know what I mean? It's just not a section for Rob. I'm just saying. Rob doesn't come across as the kind of person who would wear something like that. But to, placate her, he's gonna wear it. He's gonna try it on. The harness. So yeah. So he goes and he tries it on and he's like, "This is a goofy ass color. Like, why didn't you pick black? Why did you pick like the lightest color?" I feel like if you're gonna do sexy, if it's meant to be sexy, then I don't know, something about black or a dark red, maybe even a dark purple can be sexy. Not like a yellow. Anyway, um, so is it on right? We don't know. He doesn't know. He's like, "Should it be covering the nipples?" No, it looks weird that way. So, whatever. And then he also, at one point, she like snaps it, like how gross men will snap your bra. And he looks scandalized. And I'm like, yeah, that's how we feel too when you do it to us. Anyways, not that I've had anyone snap my bra as of late, but yeah, so that happens. So she puts on just the top, but not the schoolgirl skirt because she said that like her ass is showing. I mean, okay, I'm gonna say something. Maybe it's just the setting. I don't know. But this is a girl who's literally done photo shoots with her ass out. I've heard she has multiple OnlyFans. So you're concerned coming out of the change room in a schoolgirl outfit that might show your ass a little bit. Make that make sense to me because it makes no sense. It makes no sense. Your skirt is nearly about to show your ass. the one she's currently wearing. I'm so confused. Like, whatever. If you don't want to come out, then don't come out. But it's just, it doesn't make sense to me because I literally feel like you have no issues showing your ass. Anyway, she doesn't come out in that. She just comes out in the top and her skirt. And he's like, it's nothing special, about the shirt. Like, you'd wear that anyways. And, he's like, I'm out here looking stupid, but, you come out with the top. Now, again, I did say he didn't have to make it about that. He could have said, listen, you look great in it, but it's not doing anything for me. And that is his decision to say that. Like, he can say what he wants to say. 9 times out of 10, lingerie is meant for the man to enjoy. And if he's not enjoying it, then he's not enjoying it. Why do you need to buy a top? Just come out like a bra. You don't need to wear a top. You know what I mean? Or there's like tops that are like completely see-through. This isn't one of them. She's like, oh, my boobs are not much. Or like if you went with a white, maybe it'll be more see-through than a red. But he could have worded it better. But I agree with him. There's nothing to the top. It looked like just a regular old top that you would wear, or she would wear. And maybe for someone else like me, I wouldn't wear things like that out in public. I would wear something like that. And, it's easy access. It comes off probably really easy. So, whatever. But like for her, that is something she would wear. So I understand what he's saying. It's just how he said it. But instead of her being like, okay, then let's try something else, like a grown-ass adult, she instead is like, you couldn't even tell me that I look nice, and she just storms back into the change room. And there's neither of these two can give grace to each other. They both suck. But he's a, while she's in the change room, he's like, I'm just frustrated because I come out looking stupid and you come out looking cute. Now, didn't she say that he couldn't even say something? But he literally just said she looked cute. But he doesn't want cute, he wants sexy, right? And again, yeah, but he didn't say you looked bad in it. He just said, I wanted something that I'm going to want to tear it off in about 5 minutes. That doesn't make me want to tear it off in 5 minutes. So that's nothing wrong with him saying that. It's just how he said it. Anyway, she says, you do look stupid. I think this is before she went back to the thing. She says to him, you do look stupid. Or was it? No. It was, after she got changed, came back out after. And she said to him, you do look stupid. Okay, so you are going to do the tit for tat thing. He didn't actually even say anything bad about how you looked. He didn't say you looked bad. He didn't say you looked dumb. He didn't say any of those things. He just said that's something you normally would wear. That's not saying you look bad. But then you tell him he looks stupid. So you're going to actually do worse than what he did. And again, you already know he looks, but he feels stupid in it. He doesn't feel comfortable in it. This is on national television. Everyone's going to see him in this harness. He doesn't feel good in it, but he's doing it to appease you. And then you tell him he looks stupid in it. Fuck her. I'm sorry. I'm done with her. I don't like him. Don't get me wrong, but that doesn't mean I have to like her too. I'm done with her stupid ass. Maybe it's the age. Maybe it's whatever. Everything that Rob says going forward is legitimate. And if anyone's out here siding with her, you need to look in. Because if you're really going to believe she's in the right here, then I don't know what to tell you. I really don't. She chose to go back and try to make her marriage work. So with that in mind, things do have to be let go of. Things, you do have to do that in order to move on. You're not going to move on. You're just going to constantly hold resentment. And clearly she holds resentment. It's never going to end. Never. So if you can't let it go, then don't be with him. Like, it's not, anything he says here isn't crazy. He's an asshole. Doesn't change anything. But he's making sense here. So, yeah, so she says he looks stupid, and he's like, oh, I do. Cool. And he goes and he takes it off. And he comes back out and he says, stop being so sensitive. Now, she is being sensitive now, but it doesn't help for you to point it out right now. Maybe wait till she's calm a little bit. And that's the thing. Maybe y'all needed a minute to let this sink in, and then you guys could have talked about it later. However, it still probably wouldn't make a difference because Sophie is incapable of communicating properly. Now, do I think that's because of trauma? Yes. But she's capable of listening or communicating. And I do think she needs individual therapy before she could ever do couples therapy, because she has a lot of things that has nothing to do with Rob that she needs to work through. And until she does, it's never going to change. So, yeah, so he says that, and he says, I never said you didn't look nice. You looked cute. And she just walks away from him as he's saying it. See what I mean? He's trying to plead his case here and say, I realize that maybe I worded shit wrong. I mean, maybe he's not quite saying that, but he's like, but you did look great. I'm just saying. And she walks away when he is complimenting her. How is that helping anything? And really and truly, listen, I've had a time or two where I've had to walk away from somebody because you're pissing me off, but nothing like for this reason. It's childish. It's really childish. I mean, her ass is showing, and so is her age. And the shop clerk, though, as he's like trying to talk to her and she's walking away, this woman's like, what the fuck nonsense did you bring to my sex shop? Like, what the fuck? This is supposed to be not that kind of situation, it's supposed to bring joy, Going and buying a dildo is supposed to bring joy to people. So she's sulking in the car, as always, and he says, maybe I should have kept my mouth shut. I think he said that in the moment, and she says, you didn't even say I look nice. He just did. Because he didn't say it when you wanted to hear it. I get that. But he literally just did say you look nice, and you walked away while he did it. I'm so confused. I cannot with her. I'm sorry. I just can't. And you didn't say, something else that she said. I can't write that down, but anyways. Or you didn't say, I'm sorry. That's what she said. And he apologizes. He says, I'm sorry. But again, it's prompted. But you're not even giving him a chance. Instead, you're cutting him off or walking away from him. Maybe he was going to apologize. We'll never know because you didn't give him a chance. Instead, you walk away and then piss the boat about it and say you didn't do this or you didn't do that. But you didn't give him a chance to do any of those things. You just walked away like a little bitch. Like, seriously. Anyway. And he says to her, I'm sorry. You're always going to look good in anything you put on. Okay? And she says, I don't believe you. No matter what he says to her, she is never going to believe him. What's the point? What's the point of trying? I'm pissed. I don't like seeing, I don't like him. I keep saying it, but I can't stand her and I want them off my screen because they're doomed and I don't want to see it because it's pissing me off. It's really pissing me off watching her. And he says, do you think I don't find you attractive? And she says, no. Bitch, he is literally in here in a sex job trying to find something to spice shit up so you guys can fuck finally. And he's literally saying, I mean, I think he's trying to be conservative about it to a certain extent, but he's literally trying to say, like, I want you, but you have to lead the way for that because I can't do it. Right? But you're over here saying he doesn't find you attractive. He clearly finds you attractive. It's clear. And he probably wants to fuck and he's waiting for you to figure it out. Like, he does. And you're out here being like, no. And he's like, Sophie, if I didn't find you attractive, then why would I have married you? Like, why would I marry someone I don't find attractive? And that's the case with everybody. No one is in a relationship with anybody if they don't find the person attractive. Right? And he tries to ask, like, do you understand why, like, what I'm saying? And she's like, do you understand why I'm upset? Well, why is it always about you? Because you're a spoiled brat. But why is it always about you, Sophie? Why can't it ever be about Rob? Like, listen, the world doesn't like Rob, but you're supposed to be his wife. You're the one who also should be hearing him out. Because listen, there are times, yes, where I have arguments with my boyfriend and I'm pissed and I want the focus on me. The minute he says something that is at all valid, it just softened me up a little bit. And I do want to make sure that he is okay too. Sometimes I have to tell him, stop trying to guilt trip me, because sometimes he does that. I don't think intentionally, but sometimes he does. And I do have to say to him, no. Don't make it about this. I need you to hear me. Okay? But that doesn't happen all the time. Most times, if he says anything that is remotely showing me how he's feeling, I am going to soften and I am going to hear him too. And also make sure he hears me. This is when the tit for tat should be happening. But she's incapable of that. It's all about me, why I'm upset, why I'm this, why I'm that. Meanwhile, Rob is also drowning. And he's your husband, and you should care. And I don't think she does. But let's continue. So, he said, I already said that I did. And she says to him, and I kid you the fuck not, this is when I'm like, I'm out on her. I'm out on her. Go. I don't care anymore. Fuck her. I'm done. Because you are a selfish bitch to say what you're about to say. And again, let me remind everybody, we don't have to like him. We're not the ones married to him. She is. So she continues on by saying, all that matters is that you understand me. I don't need to understand you. Fuck you, Sophie. That is not how marriage works. That's how divorce happens, but that's not how marriage works. And it was at that point, he's like, oh, really? Oh, really? And she says, like, you need to make me feel better. Well, so if it's always going to be this way, it's never going to get better. And he says, that's not fair. That's not compromise. He's like, I will make you feel better. But he said, I already, like I said, I understood. But when you're going to try and understand me, she doesn't want to understand you, Rob. She doesn't give a shit. She doesn't give a shit. This is what happens, though, because I'm going to take it back to their first season. This is what happens when you say you want a really pretty girl and, you have standards. Well, then that's what you get. You get a pretty girl who doesn't give a shit otherwise. Seriously. And I think someone says you're being impossible, or maybe he said it, I'm not sure. And he says, I always feel like you are trying to find something to be mad at me about. Yes, yes. She's looking, she needs the excuse to finally be able to say that I don't want to be with him anymore. She's looking for it. She's fishing for it. Why would she do that though? And he's like, I don't even think you like me. No, she doesn't. She damn well doesn't like him. And there's complete silence on her end. Nothing to even validate him to say, no, I do like you. Or better yet, let's say this. I do love you, but right now I don't like you. Even that's something. Because again, you can love someone and not like them sometimes. You know what I mean? But yeah, there's just silence on her end. And he just finally asks, is there someone else now? Usually in other cases, when he's kind of brought this subject up before, I've been like, shut up, Rob. Like, really? No, enough. Let's not play the bisexual card here. You know what I mean? In this moment, though, I think he's onto something. I do think there's someone else. I do think there's someone else. Even if it's not like full blown, maybe emotional, like on top of physical cheating, or maybe it's only one or the other. I don't know. I do think at the very least, there's someone she'd rather be with than Rob. At the very least. And if that's the case, fine, then say so. Open up your fucking mouth and say so. But then she wants to play victim later. A little later in the back of the house. Anyway. So yeah, he asks, is there someone else? And she says, that's crazy. And it's like, is it? Is it crazy? Because I feel crazy. That's why I'm asking you, you know? And she's like, I can't, he said, I can't do the right thing. I'm always falling short, and I'm always going to fall short. If there is someone else, I'm never going to be enough. And he says, there has to be other people you prefer other than me. And she's like, yeah, actually I do. My mom, Kay, Savannah, or whoever else she fucking talks about. And I'm like, so you are basically saying you would rather talk to your mom or be around Kay or whatever, and your husband is not even on the fucking list? I'm not saying it has to only be your husband, but like, you don't even mention him? Are you kidding? Like, I talk to my man every day, not every minute of every day, but every day, because he is one of those people that I want to talk to. When something cool happens or something happens or whatever, he's the one I want to tell. So it's not just him. Obviously, I have friends or whoever else, but you don't even have him on the list of people. That's really fucked. That's really fucked. He says, so go be with them then. Go marry them. Like, I don't give a shit anymore. And he's like, all you have to do is be nice. It's always her thing. You always have to be nice. You're never nice to me. You never say nice things to me. Just be nice. Everything will be fine. Shut up, you stupid dum-dum. You're selfish. You're Delulu. If you really honestly think that it's always going to be peaches and roses and flowers and sunshine, like, that's not a relationship. Yes, there are times where the sun feels like it's out and I'm happy, but then there's times where it's just, the usual. Sometimes there's gloom, but that's relationship. It's not, I don't expect my boyfriend to constantly be nice to me. And I'm not always going to be constantly nice to him. Like, that's not realistic. You're in a whole ass marriage. It's not always going to be that way. And what about you? You talk about how you want him to be nice to you, but you're never nice to him. If you get what you give out, and you're not giving that out to him, so how do you expect him to constantly be nice? It's actually abusive. The way she's thinking and the way she's talking, it's actually abusive. Now, I've heard some things about him. Don't get me wrong, I have heard things about him, but I'm only going based on what I am seeing. I don't know all the details, so I'm only going based on what I'm seeing on the show. What I'm seeing right now is the way she's talking is kind of borderline abuse, in the sense of, I can treat you like shit all the time. It doesn't matter. But even when I'm treating you like shit, you have to treat me nice. It feels like the 50s, except the rules have been reversed. That's what it feels like. Anyway, and he says, so do you think you're actually going to find someone who's constantly going to be this nice person to you all the time? You're never going to get everything that you want. Again, agreed. He couldn't have said it better myself. And, he's like, you don't get it. And he tries to say to her, like, things are never going to, they're parked now at this point at their place. He's basically trying to say to her, things are never going to get better with us if you keep doing what you're doing. And she, again, can't even fucking listen to him, gets out of the fucking car and leaves him in the car. Just childish, but we're not done. There's still more. Jesus Christ, there's so much with him. Been talking for like a half an hour on Rob and Sophie alone. Okay, so he goes into the house and he says, if you don't want things to work out with me, then you should be with someone else. And she's like, what the fuck, Rob? Do you want me to be with someone else? Do you want me to be with someone else? And I'm like, you literally just said you're people that you rather be around than him. So what else do you want him to say? You're literally out here saying he ain't, not fully coming around saying it, but you might as well be saying, you're not enough for me. So what do you want him to say? And he's like, I was talking to you instead of you listening or, putting your input in or whatever. You left the car. And he's like, you're silencing me by getting out of the car. Yes, she is. Yes, she is. She is silencing him. You're not saying what I want you to say. You're not saying something nice to me. So I'm going to silence you. And I think, again, that is a trauma response, personally. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not a therapist. But she needs, like I said, individual therapy. But, and I think he says, you're doing the switch up, not me. And she's like, I know there's a second phone. I know you have a hoe phone. He's like, what the fuck are you talking about? I don't have a hoe phone. He didn't say hoe phone. And she kind of goes through the thing about the phone ringing, answering machine and all that. He's like, my phone was hooked up to Bluetooth. Like initially he's at airplane mode, but he's like, it was hooked up to Bluetooth. He's like, so whose phone was vibrating? Mine. I had a missed call on my phone. So here's what I wonder. I do wonder if they have to put their phones on airplane mode for production purposes. Or maybe they don't. I don't know. Maybe certain situations they do. And I do wonder if like maybe production called his phone to either A, stir up shit, or B, make sure their phones are off or on airplane mode or whatever. And that's not what happened. And they have probably had on speakerphone, whatever, who knows. I think it could be even both. And that's what happened. And she's taking it far. You have searched this place high and low and you said you can't find one. Fuck your mom, and I don't even care to say fuck your mom. Her mom is garbage. I have found out, trigger warning, maybe skip ahead like a minute. We did talk about her being arrested. She was literally arrested because she sent terroristic threats to Sophie. And in the text, it literally said to her, call me an Uber and I'm going to come over there and slit your throat. That's what she said to her fucking child. Fuck Claire. You want to talk about, I'm not talking about it anymore, but you literally say to your daughter that Rob is garbage and this and that and all this, and he's a horrible person. He treats her like shit, yet you're going to say shit like that to your child? Fuck Claire. Fuck her toxic ass. Fuck it. I don't know the situation with her father. But if her father dipped because he's an asshole, then fuck him. But I mean, this may be going a little bit into my personal life a little bit, but my father had another child after me. And he gave up his parental rights. Maybe it was the wrong decision, but he gave up his parental rights to his second child because the mother was batshit crazy. She did even things to my mom after the fact. We won't get into it. And he completely, he couldn't take it anymore. I wonder if he said, fuck it, I can't because of her. It's not right. It's not right. But I do wonder. We'll never know. Maybe we'll know. I don't know. But it's just, fuck Claire. I'm done with her ass. Because of all of this is why she's still hyper focused on this fucking quote unquote hoe phone. But all men have hoe phones. What the fuck do you know? You know what I mean? Anyway. So he says there is no hoe phone. I don't have a hoe phone. I have the one phone. That's it. He says that you don't clearly want to move on. You don't. He's like, I just want you to be nice to me and keep saying this bullshit. And he's like, listen, if you think that I'm not being nice to you, or if I'm not doing enough for you, that's not my problem. That's your problem. Mic drop, Rob, because he's right. I mean, I'm not saying he's the perfect husband. I don't even think he's saying he's the perfect husband. He's not perfect. There's no manual to this. But he's not being horrible to her, at least at this moment. He's not being horrible to her. So, what do you want? So, she's like, yeah, it is your problem, so you have to fix it. I mean, she sounds like my brother. You fix it, even though no one else is doing anything to you. It's like, no, it's, okay, that's exactly it. It's the Gen Z mentality. This is why millennials and Gen Zs can't mix. It's that mentality of you have to fix it. It's your fault. You're mean. You need to be nice. It's that mentality. And I'm just like, no, we don't have to be this perfect thing for you. You have to figure your shit out. Grow up. So, this is kind of where he says, like, what person is going to be like this perfect thing for you all the time? Like, that doesn't exist. And she says, well, when I do get something just like that, who wants to do all these things for me, and, we click together, or fuck. She's like, you're going to look real stupid. And he's like, was that a threat? And she's like, it's not a threat. I'm not saying. And it's like, no, you've let the cat out. It's done. It is what it is. And she's like, do you not care if I were to find someone else? And he's like, I do, but I don't want to feel like this anymore. And she's like, what? You don't care? If your wife is going to go out there and find somebody else, you don't care? Well, okay, well then bye forever. And she leaves. And he's like, there she goes. Again, that's the third time. The third time she's walked out on him today. We'll have a conversation. So, whatever. She's like crying. She goes to the car, gets a bag, and she's like, she had like a go bag where to go. And she's like leaving, and she gets the stuff off of her, like the mics and stuff. And she's like, I want to go. I want to go see Kay. Now, it could be nothing, but I never once in my life had an argument like that with my partner and said, I just want to see my best friend. I just want to see my best friend. My best friend's going to make it better. No, that's not my best friend's problem. You know what I mean? Sometimes I want to be alone and let it stew. Maybe I'll talk about it later or whatever. But like, the first thing on my mind is my best friend. So that was very weird. Very weird response. But that's it for Rob and Sophie. Of course, you're probably going to get this after the last episode aired, but you're going to like day after. But anyways, let's do Kobe and Emily, and then this is going to be quick and we'll be done. So Kobe is driving his family to go to the house for the knock door, and his family says like the bride price cannot be missed. It has to be there. It's tradition. They seem to kind of make it seem like it's part of the religion too. Like religion says you have to do this, so I'm curious about that. But there's a huge bottle of palm wine back at the house. Huge bottle. But Lisa's got questions about the bride price. Of course she does, because she just can't just do anything. Just, right? But Emily's like, listen, I don't want there to be tension or potentially they feel disrespected. This is the culture, but Kobe's here with the family, so let's hop into it. So Emily apparently can't be there in the beginning of the knock door. It's only like his family and her parents. So they say something about like her being a flower, white woman flower. And I'm like, what? This is what I think his uncle was saying. Emily's that flower. So, okay, I will go get Emily then. So here comes Emily. And they basically ask, do you know these people? She's like, yes, I do. Do you know why they're here? And she's like, yes. You understand that marriage is forever? Uh-huh. Because they've already been doing it. But anyways, and she's like, yes, I understand. And then it walks Scarlett right as that question was being asked. It's like, here's how it's going to be forever. This little girl. Yeah. And the one that's coming soon. So, and the one they already have, like the two they already have. So, it was funny. It was just the timing. But, one more thing. The woman, she belongs to us now. Okay. She's our property, basically. So Lisa's like, Lisa, I have some concerns though about the bride price. Like, what exactly does that mean for you? Because like, it feels like we're selling our daughter. So explain. And she's like, well, she won't belong to you anymore. No, no, no. She's our property now. So she belongs with us. I was like, what? And they kind of say like, if she were to die today, she wouldn't be buried in the States. She would be buried in Cameroon. Okay, so I actually have a question, because I feel that if my partner were to pass away at any point, not now, don't leave me, that he would most likely be buried in South Africa because that's his home. I don't know if he'd be buried here, but those are things that you should ask. Like, they're morbid questions to ask, but I would ask those questions of my partner of like, if you were to pass, God forbid, anytime soon, what happens? I would ask those questions. And if I married you, what happens? Now, at that point, if our kids are living here, those are things that I want to take into consideration. I do, because I would want to make sure my kids have somewhere to go to visit their parents. If that's, those are questions you need to ask. But I am curious, does Kobe want to be buried in Cameroon? Or does he just not, like, does he not care if it's in the States or in Cameroon? I am curious to know that. And I don't know if Emily actually even has that question. And again, it's not an easy question to ask. It's a very morbid question to ask, but it actually made me think, like, that's a very good point. Maybe those questions should be asked. So anyway, yeah, that's what would happen. She'd be buried here. So, because, she's our property. And I think the question that will be asked of her in the next episode is going to be, well, Emily, what do you feel about being called property? as an American, or even as someone, I'm Canadian, I am not my man's property. And I don't want to be seen as such. But I did have a conversation with my boyfriend um, about just a African lifestyle. And if I was in a similar situation as Emily, like, what would that look like? And he said, it's Africa. That is what it's going to look like. Of course, I'm going to defend you and I'm going to whatever, but that is the culture. That is how it is. But whatever happens in the midst of your relationship is between you, the two of you. So, but anyways, that's basically it with Emily and Kobe for this. I'm not going to do a next time on because, like I said, you'll probably be getting this episode after the next episode airs. But that's basically it for this episode. I'm not going to say what, but I am probably going to have a surprise for you for the more recent Love is Blind episode. So I'm going to have that surprise for you. Hopefully you'll have it by like end of the week or so, or maybe into the weekend. But I'm going to have a surprise for you for that. Hopefully, fingers crossed. But I won't tell you what it is yet. But that is it for this episode of HEA. So if you like what you heard, please rate, review the podcast on either Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Also, don't forget that you can also share us with everyone in your life if you really love this. And I do want to read those reviews. I'm definitely getting 5-star ratings, but I want to read those reviews. So send me those reviews and I will read those 4 and 5-star reviews on the podcast. Also, we're on every one of your favorite podcast apps. Every one of them, including you can find us on YouTube at Reality Tea Times 2. If you want to connect with us, you can do so by going to either Facebook or Instagram at Reality Tea Times 2. You can also find us on Twitter, TikTok, Reddit at Reality Tea Times 2 pod. We also have our email, which is at realityteatimes2 at hotmail.com. Definitely want to hear from you guys. And we also have our new website where you can listen to all of these episodes. You can review the podcast on there as well. You can connect with me in any way, all the stuff. It's all there, and you can find me there at www.realityteatimes2, all spelled out, .podpage.io. It's there. And don't forget, I also have my other podcast with my friend Nicole, Next Take Podcast, where we talk about all kinds of different topics. But you can find us on any of your favorite podcast apps over there as well. Or you can also go to YouTube, and you go to Next Take Podcast, as well as our website, which is solo.to/Next Take Podcast. So yeah, there's that, and that's basically that. And again, don't forget, if all of this information is overwhelming, we do have all of the links, everything in our show notes. But that is it for now, guys. Thanks. Bye.